Let me give you another example. In Goldman Sachs, in job interview, they ask everybody this question. How many gas stations are there in the United States? And there are two types of candidates. First candidate says, I don't know. I have no idea. That's their answer. The second candidate goes like, okay, let's see. There's 50 states. There's on average this many people live in states. So there's probably this many cars. And on average, there's probably this, on average, a person probably drives this many miles per hour, this many miles per day, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll at least try to guesstimate it, right?
Yeah.
Versus the first kind of person, which is actually majority of the people, are like, I have no idea. That's their answer. They don't even stop to even try to guess it. They just go immediately to I have no idea. That's what I mean by intellectually lazy. Most people are intellectually lazy because they don't even want to give it the little... It's kind of like this, right?
So is there hope for intellectually lazy people to make...
That's actually my question.
It would be nice.
That's actually a good question. That is actually a big part of our job. It's actually a big part of what we have to try to do in Night Owl Nation. How can we get people to be more intellectually curious rather than intellectually lazy? It happens all the time. Like when I'm doing something, you know how many people fucking DM me and ask me, they'll ask me like, oh, how did you put that subtitle on the Instagram like that? Like this was like a couple years, like now I think everyone knows. A couple years ago, like, how Instagram has caption. Oh, how did you do that? Right? Oh, wow. How did you put caption in your... I'm like, there's a sticker on Instagram called captions. Right? The level of intellectual laziness in the world is fucking mind-boggling to me. People don't even want to spend the fucking 5 minutes to find the answer they can easily find if they really wanted to. That they just like, oh, how do you do that? How do you... Immediately their answer... You know what? Actually, I think it can be learned. I actually think it can be learned.
Cannot.
It can. Because I used to be like that too. I used to go to...
You used to not think that much and not be curious. No.
Not as, but I've gotten even more.
Wow, like, that's totally different thing. It's so different from somebody that already goes to gym to kind of shrink it to look even better. But for somebody that is like Coach Potato to move and to regularly go exercise, it's different.
Here's what happened. Because I used to do that all the time. Like in one of my like older job, I used to work in IT. And I will always go to this guy and ask him like, hey, I got this error. What should I do? Blah, blah, blah. And then he would literally, you know what he did? Like he would search for that in Google and then Google, and then he'll click on it and he'll literally read it in front of me. And when you read it in front of me, there says like, oh, here's one you get, and then he'll click on that link and he'll read that in front of me. And then like it'll literally take 45 minutes to read through the document, right? And then he's like, oh yeah, this is what you do. And then you know what how I would feel afterwards? I would feel like a complete loser. Because he just proved to me that, son, you're too lazy to read. So you just come and ask me. So I just pretty much just read this for you. It's not that I knew the answer that you didn't know. I just read and you don't. That's what he basically proved to me, right? Through that action. And that happened again. That wasn't the first time. It happened again and again and again. And at a certain time, I just felt like a complete moron. Because he kept proving to me that this is how easy it is to find the answer. You just don't want to spend the 45 minutes reading. And that started... So I got in the practice of like... and that's the thing. I think people automatically assume that, oh no, I'm not technical. Oh, I don't know anything about video editing, so I could never do that. Oh, I don't know anything about design, so I could never do that. Even though I wasn't born with fucking Photoshop skills implanted in my head. So if any human being, like I was a crying baby who was shitting and pissing on my diaper just like you at some point in my life. So if I can do that, then you can definitely do it.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Um.
So,
I'm.
but okay,
Mhm.
the intellectually lazy thing. I think that's a key.
Um. I mean, definitely people that don't think need to want to think more. So if they don't want to
Yeah,
think more, but if then they don't see that as a problem, how?
they're they're okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
Like not knowing meaning, I'm not saying not know. Of course, I don't know either, right? I'm okay with not knowing my future, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not okay with not knowing when something has been presented to me. For example, when I watch a movie, I don't know if you do this, but when I watch a movie and I miss like this dialogue where he says something, I'll stop and I'll rewind and I'll rewatch it to catch. Okay, wait, what happened just there? If I
Mhm.
missed that or if I didn't understand,
Do
I'll go
you
back and rewatch it.
do you like watch that for every movie? Do you do that for every movie, or it depends?
Obviously I can't do it in a theater, but
Yeah,
no,
but
I do that for the movie that I am interested in, like that I want to watch,
mhm.
but not every movie. Because some movies is just on the background and you're not really watching it, right? You're
Yeah.
just you're just like cooking and this movie is playing in the background or something like that, right? But if I'm sitting and we're watching a movie, like, and sometimes like if I go to the bathroom and I'll ask Gigi what happened, and she's like, I don't know. Like this is what I realized when I went to film school. Um, that when most people watch movie, I realized that they actually miss like 50% of it,
Really? Like
but they're
50%.
okay with it. Yeah, they actually miss 50% of, meaning they didn't really fully 100% get the movie. There are
Okay.
certain things that, but then because you know, even if you miss 50% of it, you can still understand the movie. You can still see what happened just from the actions and things like that, right? But then when I dive deeper, I'm like yeah, I remember in that, like like there are certain scenes that I'm like, for example, I'll go to my my like Gigi and be like, hey, remember the scene in Knocked Up when they were talking about Marty McFly and the Back to the Future reference? Well, she's like, what are you talking about, right? It's like I missed that whole thing.
Mm,
Like so I remember every little detail and I know what they were referring to. If they reference a joke, I know what that joke is about. Like if they reference like a different thing
mm,
in the movie as a joke, I understand. I got the joke, and if I don't get the joke, I'll look it up, and I'll be like, "Why is that funny?" And I'll look, like I actually need to understand the whole thing, right? But most people don't feel the need to do that. Right? So, and that's the reason why I think that for me, when I watch these podcasts, these movies, blah blah blah, I'm able to connect the dot between those things so easily and so many times when most people can't, because they're just passively listening to it or they're just passively watching it.